So we can start from here. And hi, I'm Barbara Cashman, and we're talking about how to cut float glass. So this is my setup. And lower the camera just a little bit so you can get a good shot of this particular setup. A little more. Thank you. Okay. All right. This is a cutter's mate system. Now most of you know that I'm a fused glass tile manufacturer, have been for the last 27 years. And what I do here is cut mainly squares and rectangles. So this is my jig situation, and it works very well for me because that's what it does best, squares and rectangles. This is a cutting arm here, and what we've got is 1/4 inch glass. I pulled out 1/4 inch and 3/16 inch glass. For you metric people, that's 6 millimeter and between 4 and 5 millimeter. Normally, you'll be cutting just regular float glass, single strength. Actually, it's called double strength, which is about 3 millimeter. The glass that you can get from a frame shop is going to be like 2 millimeter. Still float glass, but also it's very good for jewelry and lightweight things. So anyway, what we have here is I have cutting lubricant, and my cutting lubricant is good old odorless mineral spirits. It's cheap, it's available, don't have to special order it, and the best news is it burns off the glass when it's in the kiln. So I never worry about the mineral spirits being on the glass. Okay, now like I said, this is 1/4 inch glass, and I made it in put a color up here so that you can see it a little bit better. And what I'm going to be doing is getting my tools out of the way and my phone. Not that anybody's going to call me right now. Okay, I use stops to get specific sizes on what I'm doing. So this is a stop for about a 5-inch square. Might make it about an 8-inch square. That way I can use it even in other situations. I can do some sushi plates or that kind of a thing. It takes no more pressure to score 1/4 inch than it does 1/8 inch in float glass. So you don't have to worry about pressing down really hard. So if you hear that, that's the same sound that you would hear if you scored 3 millimeter glass. So I just want you to know that. It's not a big deal to go to thicker glass. The bigger deal is possibly breaking it, which can be a little trickier. So I have buttons. Now you can't buy these things unless they've changed the situation. It's a Morton product, and it comes in 2 parts, and you're supposed to put your glass here and use it as a fulcrum and break your glass, and that's fine, but I use just the button. And it comes in really handy when I'm doing glass like this, because you just put the score line directly on top of the button, which is a rounded situation, and press down. Snap. So with thicker glass, I don't have to worry about running pliers and things like that. I like being on a grid system and use my buttons. You should have seen me when I had a broken wrist and I was doing this number and popping it. So it was a joy to behold. Okay, so the second side, and that's the other reason I like this unit, is because I get an absolutely square, clean break. Now I can use the button on this also, but just to show you these other tools, this is your regular running plier that works not on a fulcrum, but as this kind of number. And what you do is, if you always wondered what this little screw is right here, you don't usually use it with 1/8 glass. But for thicker glasses, you need to actually open the jaws so that they are slightly smaller than the thickness of the glass. So if you're working with 1/4 inch, this breaks a lot easier because that's why it was set up this way. So for this, it's just a simple squeeze, just the way you would your other glass. The only thing you have to be really concerned about with float glass, especially thicker float glass, is that it has a tendency to flare. I don't know if you can see this very well, but it's got a beautiful flare right there where it's separated. I never liked that, which is the reason I like the buttons better. It's a cleaner break. But float glass does have a tendency to flare. It will set up a scalpel edge for you. Sometimes you can't even see it. So you got to be careful. I cut myself probably more on float glass, 1/4 inch float, more than anything else because I'm not paying attention, so pay attention. Okay, so this now is an 8-inch square, and it's a perfect 8-inch square. I like that way. Okay, 3/16" glass cuts the same way. It's about 4 or 5 millimeters. And again, takes nothing special to break this glass. Same pressure as 1/8 inch. Get my buttons out. There's going to be a run on these buttons once this thing gets out there. And that's all it takes. Nice, clean break. Don't do this. Okay. Nice, clean break. 3/16 is a lot easier to do circles and that kind of thing out of. 1/4 inch, not so much. Try to keep those rascals square if you can. For circle cutting, this little rascal out of the way. For circle cutting, heavy glass comes with, this is a special turret for heavy glass. The only thing that's different about scoring and breaking thicker float glass, you get up to 3/8, 1/2 inch, even thicker, but probably 3/8 is the highest you want to go. I can get down here so you can see me. Okay, this is a special turret for heavier glass, and the only difference in any of these cutters, there's my other one over here, is that it's the angle of the wheel. That's all. It's not the pressure that you put on the float glass to break it, it's the angle of the wheel. So some of these wheels are made for thicker glass. You don't really have to worry about it if you're not going to go over 1/4 inch. Everything that you've got in your toolbox will work with 1/4 inch glass. So, that said, this is 3/16 and it will cut a circle very well. I set this up for about an 8-inch circle. This is my regular turret. Now this is a Silberschnitt cutter, circle cutter, which I am absolutely in love with. But make sure if you do get any circle cutter, it has a carbide wheel in it. Normally when you buy a Silberschnitt, it has a turret with 3 to 6 wheels in it. Trust me, they are all steel wheels, unless they've changed it, and I don't think they have. So for circles, just dip it into my trusty mineral spirits. I like a wet score. Just putting an oil line down. This is the same way you would cut any other kind of circle. All the way around till it clicks. Now this is a little bit bigger than I want. I mean this rectangle of the glass. I try to keep it just the same amount of edge around all 4 sides. So I'm going to break that off. You can use your hands with 3/16, but this will work fine. With a thicker glass, normally thinner glass, you would turn it over and you would press down and start running your score. It's a lot harder to do that with thicker glass. So you need to take another tact with that. And it looks like I was working yesterday and moved my tools. There they are. Okay, these are breaking pliers. They're not grozing pliers. They don't have any teeth on them. And I like breaking pliers to start separating. See if I'm on camera here. Separating the score. All I'm doing is I took it off the table. See that? If you can see, it started to run. And I'm doing just a little down pull on it to run it. You can do this with 1/8 inch glass also. It's a great way to go ahead and break it, especially if you can't see through it to see if the score is running. And your breakouts, just like you would 1/8 inch glass. And as you can see, it's absolutely no different to break out a 3/16 circle over an 1/8 inch circle. The quarter, like I said before, does get a little trickier. It's a little harder to do. So I really don't recommend, unless you get really large circles and get the proper turret for heavier glass, and go ahead and use that. Then you can probably feel more comfortable about taking circles out of larger glass. But this is 3/16. Okay, that is about the difference, except I'm going to show you these different breaking tools. Okay, these are your regular running pliers that you probably have in your tool chest. These pliers are actually made for heavier glass. I don't know if can you see how wide that mouth is, those jaws? Okay, that's one style. It works on a fulcrum. This is another one that works on a fulcrum. See the dots on that? And you see how far apart, that's for really heavy glass. I mean, we're dealing 1/2 inch there. And this is another one, works a little differently, sort of like these running pliers. It's got a curve to it. So these also, again, you're going to get a slight flare. With a thicker glass, it just happens. And that's that one. This is all 1/4 inch, by the way. And let's see, I used that one. Just try this one. Hopefully this is thick enough for this. Oh, yes it is. That was a little cleaner break. Some of these are going to work better on your glass than others. And I'll just cut this one again. And this is a lightweight one. This is lightweight aluminum. Okay, and that's a pretty clean one. The thinner the glass, the cleaner the break. As you start getting thicker, it's just going to want to flare on you, and that's probably due to the angle of the glass cutter that you're using. If you don't have a glass cutter that is absolutely made for heavy glass, then you are going to have a little different angle when your fissures go down through the glass when you're scoring it. So, that's about it for right now, and happy cutting.